Sorry, I don't work here. Yes, she does. I am lucky enough to live somewhere with 0 cases of COVID. Our day-to-day lives aren't really impacted at all. Now, to the story. Today a friend/colleague and I decided to meet for brunch at a cafe in order to go over the content we will be covering in the new school year, which will be starting in a little over a week. I arrived first and sat outside waiting for her summer here. A few minutes later she turns up. Note, she is wearing a black shirt and black shorts. She dumps her bags containing textbooks and laptop on the table. We quickly grade each other. She asks if I want a coffee. I say yes and ask if she can also grab water. We have bought each other coffees numerous times, so I didn't think I needed to clarify what I wanted. My mistake. She heads into the cafe to order. As she is leaving the table, an older lady walks into the outdoor area and sits at the table next to us. Less than a minute after walking inside the cafe, my friend sticks her head out the door and confirms my order. Naturally she had it right, but it was nice of her to check. Her head pops back into the cafe. It seems the older lady sitting at the table next door took note of this exchange and made an assumption. A minute later my friend exits the cafe with a large bottle of water in one hand and 2 small tumblers in the other. This combined with the previous order check obviously cemented the lady's previous assumption. The lady perks up and asked my friend if she could also get her water and take her order. My friend laughs kindly and said, "I don't work here, but with what I am wearing I understand why you think I do." As a regular lurker on this sub I watch on with gleeful anticipation. Sadly I was let down. The older lady also laughs, and as my friend places the water and glasses on our table, the lady apologizes. I turn to the lady and with a big cheeky dickhead grin, observed, she does actually work here. I don't know why she is saying she doesn't. There is a pause. My friend looks at me. The lady looks at me. I know I am grinning like a peeping idiot. My friend exclaims and laughs, "Oh Onos, why do you always have to make things so difficult?" While gently swatting me on my shoulder, the lady, who is standing by this point, obviously catches on that I am being a peepwit, and says her husband is exactly the same, while also gently swatting me on my shoulder. We all have a laugh and move on with our day. Ha, love it. I have the same cheeky sense of humor. Cheers. I am usually pretty good at reading an audience, and that lady seemed like a good sort. I knew my friend would catch on straight away as she is sharp as a tack. If you so happen to be in Ost, when does school go back? I have no idea. The 1st of February. Though private schools may be different. Also check with your school as they may be doing some PD and it may be a student-free day. Yeah, I'd swat you gently on the shoulder too, as this is something my spousal unit would do, much to my annoyance. My spouse would not be very gentle with the shoulder swat. We were also friends with 2 secretaries that I worked with. Let's just say that between work and home some days my shoulders were quite sore. That doesn't sound very nice. I hope they stop doing that. Yeah, the secretaries moved out of the area decades ago, and my spouse stopped after I had a real shoulder injury. Personally, I wouldn't consider someone who hit me on a regular basis to be a friend. I hope they stopped hitting people in general. This was a semi-rural area in the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't that unusual. It wouldn't happen today. The peepwit comment has got me thinking Aussie. I'm thinking NZ cause Australia still has lockdowns at some parts of the country. I live in one of those parts of Australia that hasn't had any community transmission since April/May last year. Though I can see why people are saying NZ. It is a compliment to be honest. My first thought was that you might live in the same area I do. I'm a teacher so it was all sounding very familiar. Oh Onos. Classic Onos. 0 COVID? Must be NZ. School starts next week? Must be NZ. Summer here? Must be NZ. Stranger sharing a joke. No cunts found. Excludes Australia. Must be NZ. Source, I'm in NZ. With gleeful pride, I get to share that op is actually an Aussie. Oi. 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 Not gonna lie, I was expecting a much less cheerful story, but I enjoyed the twist at the end. I'm in NZ and we also have no cases, and enjoy lording it over Americans. Enjoy lording it over Americans. As well you should. We deserve to have it lorded over us. American here, obviously. You an Aus or NZ by any chance? Australia, as /u/Wolfman Praxis has pointed out, NZ doesn't really exist. Which also means Australia invented the pavlova. Notice me senpai. Similar story, at least humor-wise. My job had a large meeting and they bought like a bunch of coffee for everyone. Anyway, I'm up there grabbing a donut and my friend, let's call him Adam, tries to pour himself some coffee. It's that Starbucks coffee jug thing and he isn't sure how to open it. So he basically fails to do so. He rips it open and coffee spills out of the thing. Luckily it was almost empty. Unluckily I was there with my speed-eating grin. He frantically looks around hoping no one saw him. Then he turns to me and just pauses. He gets embarrassed easily and he asked me not to tell anyone he spilled the coffee. I smile and say sure, I won't tell anyone you spilled coffee. He stares at me a bit before grabbing some napkins. The moment the napkin touches the coffee and he gets locked into cleaning, I say, very loudly, Adam, what did you do? He goes deer in the headlights. People turn around, and I enjoy a second donut in victory. You know, it's all fun and games, your pranks, but if this turned out to be a Karen, this would have all been your fault. Think about the repercussions of your actions. Anybody acting like a Karen in New Zealand gets fed to the Balrog. Said he's from Aussie, so sadly even if it had been a Karen, the Balrog would have starved that day. We give them to the drop bears instead. Them drop bears are scary as hell. You live in the upside down place where people are reasonable. It's summer, there's no COVID and your friend doesn't actually work there. Oh. This ended up being so wholesome. Thanks for the smiles. Cheers. It really was a fun and nice interaction. Totally unrelated to the post. Just a comment on your username. Are you a fan of the Malazan book series? There is a character in the books named OnosTheYounger. And Onos is also in the series. I think that must be a yes. I sure am. A great series. I found the companionship between Onos and Tos entertaining and touching, so I decided to combine their names. Well spotted. What's it like living under Mark McGowan? I miss normal life. I'm going out on a limb here. Kia ora fellow Kiwi. This is something a friend of mine would do. Are you in New Zealand or Australia? I've heard you guys did a good enough job keeping your COVID numbers down, or else all the other monsters down under took care of it. I am lucky enough to live somewhere with 0 cases of COVID. Our day-to-day lives aren't really impacted at all. Now, to the story. Where? The mystical land of New Zealand. This is something my dad would have done. I miss him dearly, even his embarrassing the speep out of me. Summer and no cases? No need to be coy, New Zealander. So jelly. Undefined. Over 9 months without a single case of community transmission. The only cases are in people returning from overseas, all of whom have to go into mandatory hotel quarantine for 14 days. Where? Perth, Western Australia. Nice. Must be nice to have competent, sensible rules and be able to go out and meet friends, date, etc. Is it really nice? Life is back to normal after 1 month of lockdown. You have to be from New Zealand. Very wholesome. That was expertly handled by your friend. Kudos. Nice twist ending. I enjoyed it. This is fantastic. It's not very often that you see it play out this nicely. Well done, stranger. That could have ended rather badly. Lol, that is so wholesome and funnily sweet. I needed to read that lol. I love this story. I would have just taken the order. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for would've. This made me smile. Good bunch all around. Thanks for this. Feepwit. A Nodel new word for me. Thanks. This is the wholesome, heartwarming post I needed today. Thanks op.